Okay, before we begin, please note that the views, opinions, and information shared during this presentation are those of the presenters and not necessarily reflect the views of Anne Arundel County Association of Realtors. ACAR has not reviewed, edited, verified, or approved the content of this program and is not responsible for the accuracy or completeness of the information presented. Please use your own professional judgment and consult appropriate advisors when needed. Okay? So, with that said, our two guest speakers this morning, I couldn't be more excited. Greg Fisk and Pam Batstone. I think I've known both of you for decades. Makes me feel very mature, yes. And we're really going to discuss, they are going to discuss what are the benefits of our association, because we know, I think probably all of us do not understand all the benefits, nor do we use them. I think we use a very small percentage. So that was a discussion we wanted to have. And when I use the word discussion, I mean discussion. If you want to ask a question or you have an opinion, please raise your hand, put it in the chat. But let's raise your hand. Let's have you talk if you don't mind. So with that, Greg, you want to kick us off?
Literally, thanks very much, Mel. Thank you very much for helping coordinate the Saturday Success Series, and thank you very much, Pam, for your leadership and putting this together as well. So yeah, I think Mel's right. Like a lot of us don't understand the depth and breadth of everything that the trade associations do for us, from NAR down to the Maryland Realtors, and of course our local association here Anne Arundel County Association of Realtors. Our CEO, Bob Johnson, is on the Zoom as well. So that's awesome. And like Mel said, this is kind of a dialogue, right? We just want to ask some questions, but we want to bring
Yeah.
to you and make sure that we all understand the value proposition that the trade associations and our local association at ACAR helps us out with. So yeah, with no further ado, let's jump into it. I always like to say, and this is going to kind of frame this discussion a little bit, right? You are a salesperson, but you're not just a salesperson. You're a business owner, and like any business owner, you need to know what you're paying for, and that's the purpose of our call today. So here we go. I also like to frame this, especially for newer agents that come into the business, right? I think there's three lanes that we all operate in. We When you get your license and you're taking your pre-licensing courses, you take your PSI test, you pass, you get your salesperson license from the Maryland Real Estate, issued from DLLR and the Maryland Real Estate Commission. That's the legal aspect of it. Now you have permission to practice real estate. You have a year to align yourself with a brokerage, Maryland Real Estate Commission, and the commissioner, Scott Lederer, who's not really new anymore, but I think we have a good ally and a good partner in the new real estate commissioner over there. He's a former broker, and there's a lot of value in having someone like that head up the commission. And I think the dialogue or the conversations between the real estate commission and our associations and the state association as well is moving forward in a really positive way, in my opinion. But they determine our continuing education requirements, and also they, oversee our advertising guidelines and such. And then there's the second lane that you operate in. Like I said, you have a year to align yourself with your brokerage. That's where your license is held, and kind of that's where a lot of the value proposition shows up as far as training, mentorship, standards of practice within the brokerage, how the broker wants you to practice, and compliance with it when it comes to contract writing and such. So, and then, of course, there's the trade association, and we have the National Association of Realtors, Maryland Realtors, and for us, Anne Arundel County Association of Realtors. So, I want to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk about some of the value proposition that we bring to the table. We talked a little bit about this, so we can share this slide deck with the association after we put it out. But NAR has a lot, obviously, that they offer. They offer a ton of resources from the top down. I'm going to kind of go over. Whoops, I'm going to actually share my screen again. I think one of the biggest value propositions that NAR brings to us is what they do from a federal standpoint on advocacy. A lot of times the agents don't know exactly what NAR is doing when it comes to what we do on the federal level. We have the Realtor Party. I suggest everyone check out realtorparty.realtor. There's a ton of resources on there from advocacy, um, tax policy, what they do to protect our independent contractor status is what they all, they fight very hard for. And of course, we know we've been in this housing shortage situation. They're fighting for increasing housing supply. They put together our code of ethics and build out our realtor brand for us as well. But advocacy and what the advocacy team does at NAR is top notch. I think second to none. Bob, you'd probably agree with me on that, what they do, Shannon McGann and the team over there from a lobbying standpoint, probably one of the most respected lobbies in the industry. And, we're kind of the purple party when it comes to talk about sort of a bipartisan approach. We have the real estate caucus and that we're trying to build out within Congress, and that's certainly a way for us to advance what our objectives are for housing goes. And then on the state level, Maryland Realtors, that there's so much value there. Agents talk about, oh, I don't know what Maryland Realtors does for us. We have statewide form sets. If you had to practice like we do sometimes in the commercial world, where you have to have attorneys put together everything, review everything each and every time, attorney fees are, $300, $400, $500 an hour sometimes when it comes to this contract compliance. We have the legal team over at Maryland Realtors that works very hard to stay on top of the legislative updates, the form sets, and of course the forms committee, both at ACAR and at the state level. And we'll talk a little bit when Pam talks about ACAR, what the forms committee does for us on the local level. But they're staying on top of all the relevant legislative and legal updates that they're making sure are incorporated in our form sets. And it's a huge advantage to be able to use that form set, right? They have the legal hotline. They do a great job of putting out housing stats for us as well. And the legislative work that they do at the state level, again, is super important. We came very close this year to, I'm going to go off script a minute and tell an anecdotal story. We all know the quagmire that is the HOA and condo association, the form sets and the laws around that. We came very close to passing an updated law, sort of codifying and reeling in the regulations when it comes to these property management companies and what they do, and extort some homeowners on these expedited fees when it comes to ordering the resale packages, maybe bringing the terms together in a more unified way. It was the 11th hour. It passed both chambers, passed all committees, and it just didn't make it past sine die the last day of session. So I think next year we're teeing that up, and we're going to get that passed next year as well. And it's not always just what gets passed, it's what we're able to fight against. So I don't know if you guys were familiar, but we had the Bambi bill, legislation that was put forth by the Maryland Association of Counties. If you guys haven't heard this is super important. This is one of those things that happens in the background if you're not necessarily paying attention. But one of the provisions of that bill that was taken out before it really even got started, thank God, was they were trying to cap real estate commissions on that. I won't use the term on what they were trying to cap them at, but it was very egregious and draconian sort of part. It was their way of, they thought, helping to affect housing supply and the price, but really interfering with what we do as a practice in independent contractors in the free market. So Maryland State advocacy team, Lisa May over there, was able to do a lot of work on getting that removed before it even got started. And of course, eventually we were able to kill off that bill, that Bambi bill, which was, really anti housing accessibility and helping us increase the inventory there on that. So then you kind of take that down to the state level, and we have our government affairs director, Max Gross, does an amazing job keeping up to date on all the legislation that affects us on the in Annapolis, from the city council, the county council level, and things that are really affecting us more on the local level, right? So the GAD Bob was a former GAD who's now the CEO. We do a really good job of trying to stay out in front of some of the legislation that it's affecting us in our industry. And these are things that are relevant and pertinent to, how we operate. But I'll talk a little bit later about the FPC position and federal political coordinator, which I am one of for one of our legislators at Congresswoman Elthroth in District 3, which covers most of Anne Arundel County, all of Howard County, a little bit of Carroll County. But we do a lot of work, hand in glove with the Realtor Party on, again, making sure that we have a seat at the table and making sure our voice is heard. Kind of want to talk about ACAR, and of course, we have our president, Pam, is on this Zoom call, and she's going to talk a little bit about, get a little bit more granular about some of the benefits that we offer as a local association. And we really just touched the tip of the iceberg on some of the things, but I just wanted to give a broad overview, break down those 3 lanes, and really take a deeper dive into the trade associations, especially ACAR. So, Pam, do you want to talk a little bit about ACAR and what we're offering?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Melanie, so much for starting this series. I've joined the other 2 Saturdays, the first 2, and just phenomenal of the education that we're learning through this. Today, yes, ACAR, I have to admit, and I think with Melanie and Greg, maybe they would agree, is that in starting out, we've all been 20 plus years in the industry and not so involved with our association. I think in the beginning, you're getting your designations, GRI or SRES or whatever it may be, and your time is taken up there. I personally wish I had gotten involved with ACAR a lot sooner than what I did. I hope that everybody is maybe open-minded to joining a committee. We have 9 committees. Melanie is vice chair of our education committee. And I'm going to put save the date out there. March 11th of 2027 is our convention, the ACAR convention. This past year was March 5th, and we were at Maryland Live. We're having a new location that's been put under contract with at Luminous Health, Anne Arundel Medical Center.
Oh.
At the top floor of the Belcher Pavilion is the Dordan Institute. It's a lovely area. It's private. We have the classrooms. We have this space. And the little tricky part might be the parking from the parking garage into the building, but there'll be plenty of signage. Lisa Hamilton is our staff member for the convention committee, and Lisa Weary is our chair. And they're doing a phenomenal job of presenting with the classes and the panels or masterminds. Those seem to be the bigger draw nowadays, is the masterminds of the panels of people coming and talking. And it's, if you haven't been to a convention, we certainly hope you'll save the date and try it this year. And it's maybe closer to where we're in Anne Arundel County here and near Annapolis. So hopefully that will be on your calendar for next year. Then we have.
Can I jump in real quick and say
Sure.
something about?
Mhm.
Can I jump in real quick and say something on that too? I think it's a great opportunity for us to. All the educational opportunities, the professional development, those panels are phenomenal, but also networking with fellow agents, right? It's a great opportunity, and we have lots of events, and I'm sure Pam will talk about those. But we're in the business of brokering deals, and I know we have a fiduciary obligation to operate in our clients' best interest. But being able to work in a deal and sit across the aisle of someone that you know and you already have a relationship and rapport with makes that transaction so much easier when you're trying to negotiate from them and get you. We're both, the main objective is to get that ball across the finish line, so to speak. And I know personally, working with agents that I've worked with before, or networked before, and I know them, it makes that job of negotiations a little bit easier, and it's less kind of combative sometimes. And I think it's just a great opportunity, especially like Pam was saying, for the convention, is to get out there and really network with our agent peers as well.
And
Sorry.
to tag on to that, Greg, I think joining
Yeah.
committees, the networking piece is also fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just, don't we tend to trust people that we know, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting in a committee meeting, you're sitting across from other brokerages, other agents from other brokerages, not in meetings like in maybe your own brokerage that you do. And it's all within that same brokerage that you're having a meeting. But being out amongst the others is just, you learn a lot. You learn from others.
And then there's the business partner piece, like Jody and Tim are both on this, and I don't think I've ever shared more than a sentence with either one of them before being on a committee with them. And so I'm very grateful to have gotten to know both of them. So the whole networking, I mean, that's what we're supposed to be so good at, right? We're supposed to be good at getting to know people, our clients. So getting to know each other, I think, is really helpful.
Well, and I think it also stems from someone that's on a committee and you have another agent that you're friendly with, tapping in them on the shoulder and saying, why don't you come join? Come be on this committee with me. I mean, that's what it usually takes is someone that you trust ask you to do something. I'm not saying you can't say no, but it's, yeah, let's do this and let's go together. And it makes it more meaningful.
That's so interesting, Pam, because I think you tapped me on the shoulder and said, you just busted yourself. So it works. Apparently
Yeah.
it works.
It does. And you are phenomenal, Melanie. Thank you.
Apparently it works. That's fun.
Yes. So I'm going to kind of start out basic here. The staff is great. Bob Johnson, our CEO, fabulous board of directors we have, and the chairs and vice chairs we have. I will, my hats off to at ACAR. As soon as you get off the elevator, new lobby, walking in is phenomenal too. And when you go upstairs to the third floor, you will open the doors and there is Tanya sitting there. Always friendly, always willing to help. I have a 20-second voicemail from an agent calling me, telling me how helpful and kind and patient Tanya was over the lock boxes, which we're getting ready, I'm going to talk about. So as you know, this lockbox, the silvers, and these are going away in that we're retiring them August 31st. And this is Sentry Guard, our new lock boxes that we're using. And sometimes people have a little difficulty with these. These are, if the key's not popping, it's not pulling out on its own, you just pull the bottom and then you have the key to get into the property. The point on this is the silver ones, you can turn in for a new lockbox and receive $15 off. So if you have extra silver ones, which I think we probably all do, is if you're not going to buy a lockbox, you can ask or let a colleague take the silver lockbox serial number and trade it in on a new lockbox, and it saves them $15. So it's a discount for the new lockbox. And if you can't use all of your silver ones, you can give them, share with a colleague. So I think that's helpful.
I can give a little hint on the lockbox. When you're removing it from the door, remove your foot from being right under the lockbox. I'm just saying, they're very heavy and they hurt. Yeah, so just kind of a heads up.
Oh my God. Thank you. Yes, nobody wants a broken toe or anything. So now we know we as agents are not always timely, and maybe some will wait till August. So I think Tanya will be inundated with a lot of people coming in to do this, but she is so patient and so kind. And you don't actually have to bring the lock boxes themselves in. You just need the serial numbers so that they will come off the list that are still being held through the company, Sentry Lock. So I don't know if Bob wants to interject anything on those or not, but we'll need to have that done. And I'm sure in August will be a very busy month for this. So moving along, we have this, I know a lot of folks maybe don't want in-person classes. A lot of people want to do things online. And through ACAR, if you want to go to a class through CE Shop, ACAR offers discounts for you to be able to do that. So besides all the classes that at ACAR we offer in person, they can also offer the discounts through CE Shop. And meetings that we have are the joint meetings of DSAC, which is a subset of ACAR. ACAR and DSAC have joint meetings twice a year, in May and in September. So if anyone, September 11th is our next meeting for the joint meeting, and lots of information to be shared. They're held at Chartwell. Anyone that's not maybe part of DSAC that has joined some of the other meetings, Chartwell at 8 o'clock. And it's a nice breakfast, and the affiliates that come and support us, it's lovely. Does anybody have any comments, Greg? Or I think Betty Jans is on here too. Betty's past president.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, DSAC, Distinguished Sales Achievement Club. And yeah, those meetings are always great, chock full of value. And again, another great place to network. But some of the CE that they bring to the table too is also great. It's nice to be part of those fall membership meetings as well.
And often we
Because,
affiliate sponsor, right? So we have affiliates there. So that's really nice to get to know services that you may need.
Well, that is the top 10% of realtors, and those are the people you'll be doing deals with. So it's a great opportunity to be around all of the agents that you're probably most likely going to be doing a deal with, or probably already have done a deal. So you'll be walking to a room where you already know a few people if you've done some transactions.
Right. And Bob does a phenomenal job for the new members orientation meetings. And we do have a lot of dual career agents. So they're keeping their regular job, coming in, trying real estate, and they need help. And usually once they get their feet wet and they come in and things progress, then they end up becoming a full-time realtor. So it's, I can't say personally, when I started over 22 years ago, that I remember new orientation through my brokerage, but I don't remember doing orientation through ACAR. It's very, very helpful. Bob does a great job. So I think even if you're not a new agent and wanted to attend one sometime, that wouldn't be a problem, right, Bob? Okay.
No, not at all. In
Nope.
fact, a lot of people are transferring in from other associations. They're supposed to go through our orientation, and they come up and they say, we didn't get anything like this at our other association. So they were very happy that they came.
Right. Which is another important point. There are 16 local associations. We in Arundel County are a little over 2,600 members. And then there's some other associations that are larger than we are. And then there's a lot of associations that are smaller. Now, there are agents that prefer to belong to a couple associations, depending on where they're servicing their clients. And you can be part of other associations. You have to have a primary. And then with your broker has to be a member. So if you were to switch brokerages and you go from one brokerage to another, if your new broker is not a part of ACAR, then that's difficult, because they actually should be. You want to answer on that?
The secondary broker, we get a lot of secondary brokers because they pick up an agent who wants to stay in ACAR, so they join as a secondary broker, and so then that works. So that's right. Something to check before you switch, though, is to make sure that the new broker is a member of ACAR if you want to keep if you're still planning to do business in Anne Arundel County.
Right. And then as far as the dues go, we have you receive your bill in your email that we're national, we're state, and we're local. Now, there are agents that are licensed in different states. You only pay national once, and then you pay per state, and then you pay per local association. Now, I preface this with always check with your accountant, but of the last, our 2026 dues came to $723 for national, state, and local, and $623.60 is tax deductible. The other amount of $99.60 is not tax deductible. But again, I preface that with check with your accountant. So when it comes time to do your 2026 taxes, that's something to consider. Anyway, I think that what we're offering, the free apps that we have are the RPR, Realtor Property Resources, which is really very helpful in doing a property search or whatever you want to do reports on that. And then we also have the Tether. And I believe, Melanie, you mentioned that we will probably try to do a Tether class
Yes, I
on
had
Saturday.
last year I had Tether come and speak on a Saturday session, and they it was very good, and it sure makes you feel a lot more protected.
Okay. And I think I'll hand it back to Greg.
I got a quick list here too. I just wanted to say, ACAR's public member benefits includes obviously the Central Lock services and Lockbox we talked about, Bright MLS training and discount, digital magazine, RIS Media Premier, Smart Charts, Zip Forms in partnership with Maryland Realtors, discounted CE Super Pass for the annual membership appreciation week, NAR designation classes, the annual convention that Pam talked about, networking, legal and legislative updates, mediation, arbitration services, community service. We'll talk a little bit about that. Government affairs, RPAC, Tether RE, which is up in front of us now. And we talked about bringing a class to that as well. Meeting and classroom space, and, kind of the benefits go on and on. As far as like the community outreach and things that you can do there, the YPN, Young Professional Networks, the community service, they do so many different events where you're Me Incorporated, right? So you're the brand. This is your ability or an opportunity for you to get out there and sort of promote goodwill within the community, within your sphere of influence, within your database. Let people know what you're doing, how you're involved in the community, how realtors are giving back. And, it's just important to tell that story. And I always say, even when it comes to like the committees and everything else, you're not really volunteering. You're investing in your business and your industry. You're an independent contractor. You're your greatest asset and resource. So you should always be investing in yourself, whether it's committing to mastery on a lot of the different educational opportunities we have, or, kind of giving back, building your brand out. And like I said, building goodwill within the community. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. And of course, the Tether app is really nice. I don't think, and one of the other benefits I don't think we touched on was the helpline, the help desk for tech needs that you have. I know Bob implemented that. Maybe I guess we're about 2 years into that, but we have a tech support helpline as well. So there's a phenomenal opportunity in that.
Well, I would just also interject.
Anything to add to that? Oh, go ahead.
Well, yeah, you did wonderful explaining for the NAR and the Maryland Realtors. We are here, all of us here together are ACAR. And so it really is the closest to us here. And in order for it to work, we all need to come together and network and support each other. And I think that this is on our level closest to us. ACAR is what we feel the most. And of course, Maryland Realtors helps out. And then NAR is a little bit, seems further away. But it's a three-way agreement between NAR, Maryland Realtors, and ACAR. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it all.
Yeah, and I think ACAR is where like the associations become local and practical, right? So it's things that are just more hyper relevant to. It's like when we talk about real estate and you talk about real estate statistics and saying, giving a real estate statistic nationally is like asking what the weather's like in the United States. That doesn't necessarily make sense. So all real estate's hyper local, and then the local association is where a lot of these features, resources, and tools become practical to us, especially the networking opportunities, to Bob's point and Pam's point, and DSAC meetings or some of the other events that YPN's putting on, community service. We had a phenomenal thing from the community service committee not long ago about the trivia. We had a packed house. It was a full room. And I know we have a bingo coming up, which is going to be raising money for another something else from the community service committee, which should be super fun. But those are not only
We're also working on a bowling competition between brokerages. That should be fun.
suck at bowling. Sorry.
I know,
I
but
have to
it's fun.
practice. I got to get out there and practice.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just so many opportunities there. And, I'll kind of go back and talk a little bit to locally what we were able to do. And I know Bob was in the room and Mel was there. From a FPC standpoint, we were able to coordinate and set up a function with Congresswoman Elfreth. And it was a very small, intimate setting where we were able to have conversations. I mean, that's what the one of the benefits of the trade association is. We're able to stay engaged, have a seat at the table. We were able to ask some hard questions. Bob was asking the Congresswoman some hard questions about housing. She was able to relay some housing information that I didn't know, and I try to stay on top of that a lot about what's practically happening in and around where we're at. She's doing some things to help housing at Fort Meade, and there's a plan for a project in place outside of the old Coast Guard, or outside of the Coast Guard yard, which is kind of mimic Trade Point USA and bring a lot of jobs into that part of Anne Arundel County. So those things, and we know where the jobs go, customers flow. So things like that, and being able to, she said that she co-sponsored a couple of bills because of some of our advocacy efforts. And it's those little things, if we say time on task and staying in front of some of those legislative initiatives, it helps protect our industry. And that's what we're really talking about. And a lot of the local association is protecting that entrepreneurial space in which we work so that we're able to do it. And Pam made up a good point. The board of directors does a phenomenal job. Bob and the board of directors is able to bring in the CEO from Bright and speak with us, I think, once or twice a year. So we're able to have a conversation and influence on Bright. And I think the MLS does a phenomenal job. I know it gets a bad rap sometimes, and there's certainly plenty of things wrong with the MLS, but it's one of the greatest tools that we've ever had for our industry. And I think it's an amazing fair housing tool as well. But there's a lot of things that happens behind the scenes with the association that our membership doesn't know about. And I think originally, to Pam's point and Mel's point, you don't know about it until you get involved. So the main thing is to engage and get involved and see some of the opportunities there, and really keep in mind that you're in the business of real estate. You're an independent contractor. You operate as a business. These things, again, I want to reiterate, it's not necessarily, you don't have to feel necessarily like you're volunteering, but you're investing in our industry. You're investing in yourself. And just really hope everyone takes advantage of some of those opportunities.
Well, Greg, while you're on that, one of the side benefits of belonging to one of the legislative committees is that you can be invited to go to fundraisers and local fundraisers. And when you're at a local fundraiser, these are all people that have enough extra money to give donations to local candidates. They're all business owners. They're all residents of the county. And it's a great opportunity to be in a room with a lot of potential clients and be catching up on what's going on legislatively, because they always give a little speech about what they're doing and so forth. But that's a great advantage that I don't think a lot of people realize, that's one of the benefits of being on one of the legislative committees.
I agree. And I would add to that too. I happen to be on the Federal Taxation Committee, and we're doing our darndest to try to get the capital gains amounts changed for $250 for a single and $500 we're trying to get it doubled, $500 for single and $1 million for couple. So there's a lot going on, and it's so great to be a part of it and see the progress that we're making. And like Greg said, we really were close. It came to 11:58 the night the session was closing, and had we had 5 more minutes, they would have gotten that bill passed for the HOA and condo fees. So next year it's going to be on there, hopefully, and it'll be more time. But it's all very exciting, and going through the process and seeing how it works.
And I know Pam was talking about the staff at ACAR earlier. Lisa Hamilton, our communications director, does a great job of putting together like the weekly newsletters and the online magazine. So take time to there's that the newsletter is chock full of great information, keeping us up to date. Part of that our strat plan and initiative at the local association is communication. So they do a great job of communicating. It's kind of a two-way street though. You have to kind of like read the information that's put out there and stay engaged just so that you know everything that's going on. And I can't tell you how awesome of a job that the convention committee does putting together that convention. So many opportunities there. Betty, I know you had your hand raised earlier. I'm sorry, just getting to you.
That's okay. I'm good. I'm begging out on comments tonight or this morning.
What's that? I'm sorry.
No, I'm not going to comment this morning. I believe I sent a couple messages to Pam.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so kind of reiterating on some of those things, central lock boxes, Bright MLS, trainings, discounted CEs that we offer. The ACAR app, we have an app that we use at ACAR 2, which gives you access to some of the all the other members and contact information there as well. Local housing, the smart charts, designation clashes, the convention, and of course, the reports from Max and the Government Affairs Director. And I know if you have any questions about what's going on legislatively, Max is a great resource if you want to reach out to him on any bills that you may have questions on or what's happening at the local level from the county council. I think we're talking about, we didn't really talk about the state legislative committees and the local legislative committees, but those two committees are highly engaged. We're out of session now for the General Assembly with Maryland Realtors, but our local association reviews the bills that are going to be opined on from a state perspective. We put forth our recommendations, whether supporting or opposing those bills. And again, it's a great opportunity for us to have a voice and a seat at the table when it comes to those kinds of things. So yeah, just want to make sure that you guys all understand what you're paying for, taking advantage of what you're paying for. And everybody's different on their budgeting, but we get a lot for what we pay for our different trade associations. And in that trade association, again, it's protecting our entrepreneurial space in which we work as independent contractors. So I think it's paramount and it's super important. And I want to give a shout out to everybody that serves on the board of directors for their time and service.
Let's see, anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do want to say that everyone has spoken on this this morning program has done a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Your
And I would
Starbucks gift card is in the mail.
I would just like to clarify when I did regarding the lock boxes and the serial numbers, Tanya has to know who is the agent that lockbox is registered to. So they were under my name, and let Tanya know that I was giving my 2 serial numbers to another agent for her to get the new lock boxes. Just want to clarify that.
So you have to use, I'm sorry, you have to send her written assignment to the other person.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Good to know.
Betty, we're looking at relaxing that a little bit because it came to my attention that there was a person who left the business a couple of years ago that said he transferred all these boxes to the agents that in the office that he left, and he didn't. And so they've already been retired because he was no longer a realtor, and those boxes can't be transferred anymore. So there's going to be a lot of people coming in with boxes they think are in their name, and they're not in their name. But as long as they have the box and it can't be used anymore, I think we're going to go ahead and extend the discount, because this has happened. Some brokers that used to provide their boxes just gave them out and just said, you can just keep them. And we're not doing it anymore. So, but it's in the broker's name and not the agent's name. And it's just going to be a complete mess. So I think as long as we know there's a box retired, and once it's retired, it can't be used for anything. It won't open, it won't respond to anything. So we know that if it's retired, we should be able to give credit for that box. So we're going to relax that some. That's the way we've been doing it. But I think now, as more people are coming in and there's more and more issues, I think we're just going to have to relax it.
Okay. Any questions from anyone?
I see nothing in the chat, but please just speak up if you have any questions about anything that's been said or.
I do a quick one regarding the lock boxes. If you haven't used it for a long time and it's still in your name, is it still active and do you still own the numbers?
Yes. The one concern on the silver boxes, especially if the battery dies, you can't get it open, and there's nothing you can do. So you have to cut it off. So that's getting a little scary because as these things are now 20 years old, and it depends on when the batteries were last changed, you have to open the box to change the batteries. The new ones are not that way. The new ones, you can get a little battery pack, plug it into the lockbox. If it dies, they've got 10-year batteries on them. But if it were to die, you could plug it in from the outside, open it up, and put those new batteries in one quick and easy step. So there's a lot of new advantages that we can turn on. Once these non-Bluetooth boxes are retired, you can then turn on some of these. This particular one of the biggest advantages is you can give access to a lockbox to a contractor or something by like from 10 to 11 on a certain day. If they change the thing, you can either change it or delete it so they can't get in. And it's very much safer. They get an app, a mini version of the app, so they have to use their phone to open it. And they can only open it during the times you set. And it's really safe for your clients that, some people have contractor codes on their box, but that means the contractor can come back anytime and go in there and maybe gave the number to somebody else and that type of thing. So it's much the safest it's ever been, but you can't use it until you're all Bluetooth because that system won't work for a non-Bluetooth lockbox. So that's one big plus why we're doing it. But the other reason is, like I said, those silver boxes can't be transferred anymore. They can't when they die. They on a property because the battery's dead. It has to be removed. So it's getting more and more dangerous to even be using those boxes because you might run into a problem like that. And quite truthfully, when I do orientation, I'm having to tell them how to open 4 different kinds of lock boxes. And that gets pretty confusing for a new agent. It's really just 2, and Bluetooth or non-Bluetooth, but and they both operate the same. So it's really just 2 different ways. But that won't apply after August 31st. There'll only be one way to open a lockbox, and I think that'll be because nobody likes to be at the front door and have trouble getting into the lockbox. I mean, that is the worst thing that can happen. It's very embarrassing. So we're trying to prevent that and get it a unified system. So hopefully it'll work out very well and everybody's going to be very happy with this new setup.
Okay.
I hope that answered the question. That was a little long-winded.
All right. I don't want to keep people. I mean, realtors are busy. It's a Saturday morning, but I do want to thank Greg and Pam for this morning. Robert, thanks for jumping on again. And it's always good to see you, Betty. I will also want to thank, we have Christine, Jody, Tim, and Pam. It also serves on all committees, but Christine, Jody, and Tim are on, and they're on the education committee. So we really sincerely are trying to follow the needs and desires of membership and what they want in education. So please feel free to contact any of us on the committee. Feel free to put anything in the chat. I wanted to let you know that we won't have a Saturday session next week. Can you believe it'll be Memorial Weekend already? We will have one on the 30th. On the 6th, our Bright rep is going to be here. Donna, she's been great. I've worked with her for years. iTrips will be the next weekend on the 13th. And that is, iTrips is a company that I actually had a client buy a home, and iTrips manages it and does, it's basically an Airbnb. So they manage Airbnbs all over Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. And then Bobby Davidson is going to be on the 20th, and he's talking about a home energy audit and rebates, which he spoke to our office about, and we were blown away. Not a single agent knew about it, and it's such a great touch for your clients. It's actually an amazing benefit, but also a really authentic way to reach out to your clients. So, with that said, I want to thank everybody for gifting us time on Saturday morning. Have a wonderful day. It's gorgeous out there, and I'm going to go show property. I hope everyone else is too. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.